Hello and welcome to the first episode of The Big Places of Australia. If you just missed that exit, we are currently about 160 k's southeast of Melbourne, heading out to a little town called Churchill. It's pretty fitting that it's a cloudy day today because this big thing has a very cloudy past. And if you missed the title of the video, we are actually heading out to the Big Cigar. I'll pop up on the screen now the What 3 Words address for the Big Cigar, and if you want to follow along at home or even come and visit yourself, type those 3 words into your What 3 Words app and hit the directions button and out you come. So from the Churchill Federation Uni exit, we're going to be travelling about 10 k's, and then the Big Cigar is just going to pop up, bang, right in front of you.
Got to stop for you. Okay, so here we are, right next to the servo. I wonder how many big things around Australia are like right next to some sort of convenience. We probably should make a list of that. Alright, so go find a parking spot and we'll have a look in a sec. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Come around the back of the shopping centre. Just get off the road so we can have a chat about it. There it is. I shall pull into this car park.
Okay, so here we are, Big Cigar. I'm right here, just the bottom left, if you can see me. It's pretty big. So we're in a town called Churchill. So Churchill was built in 1965, mainly as a location for people to live for the construction and running of Hazelwood Power Station, which has now been decommissioned. So the town itself was actually named after Winston Churchill. This area was originally called Hazelwood, hence why they called it Hazelwood Power Station, and a few other little things around here still called Hazelwood. So there's a bit of kerfuffle over the name Churchill, all the way through up until 1989 when they decided to have a vote, and the name Churchill just won out, just won out. That's why it still continued to be called Churchill, and there's still a fair few people not happy with that. Now we'll talk about the Big Cigar a little bit. Big Cigar was commissioned in 1967 and was originally called, well, this is what the issues are at the moment. So it was originally called the Big Spire as like a symbol of hope and whatever for Churchill. But it's a bit hard to go by the fact that we've got a Big Cigar in a place called Churchill that was named after Winston Churchill, who was notorious for smoking up to 10 cigars a day. So yeah, and given that this was commissioned in 1967, Churchill was built in 1965, put 2 and 2 together, I think the person was going for a Big Cigar when they created this. So the town Churchill itself currently sits around 5,000 people. It was expected back in the day when they first built the town to exceed 40,000 people, and they were also expecting to build 20 plus power stations in this area. I believe they've got up to 5 and they're slowly dwindling down, and in about 5-6 years there'll be 0 coal-fired power stations in this area. But that's for a whole nother video, that one. So the town itself has accommodated for that 40,000 plus people. There's a lot of roads here that are very large, so they've already pre-planned the town getting big, and there's also overpasses for motorways that they were planning at the time as well, which I'll show you in a few little snippets. So to this day, there's still people that believe that this shouldn't be called the Big Cigar, and there was a petition to state government to change the name of it to the Churchill town symbol in 2021, and that's still ongoing down the track. Haven't heard much more about that. So when the Big Cigar was actually built in 1967, inside all the little grooves there's hundreds of filament light globes. And as you know, if you've ever used a filament light globe, they blow and require constant maintenance. So the council gave up on that pretty quick and pretty much left this to become a decrepit, derelict little thing sticking out in the middle of nowhere. So birds got in, destroyed all the electronics, made a mess of it, and then over the years it pretty much just became this massive tower of blackberries, and that's where it stayed up until the late 90s. Like, I remember as a kid, all I knew this was like a big stick full of blackberries. The lights didn't work, and for years and years and years I was like, are they ever going to get it to work? And no one knew. So up until, I believe it was 99, when this area here got redeveloped for the shopping centre, they pulled the old one down, put this new one up. Council somehow found some money and they decided to revamp this. So they first of all tried to change all the light bulbs and get the electronics working. That idea lasted about a week, when I think it lit up for a couple of days, and then that was it, shorted out again. So they decided to put these floodlights at the bottom as a, let's say, budget-friendly measure, and that's how it stayed till this day. Now, if you need any more convincing that this is a Big Cigar, come here at night time, because it looks like one end of it is just lit. I'll pop a picture up because, yeah, I don't think it's how the artist ever intended this to look, but if anything, it looks more and more like a Big Cigar at night time. So let's get into the specifics of this being a big thing of Australia. If we take into account that this was built in the 60s, a lot of square design, yeah, I can sort of agree that this could be a Big Cigar, and given that it's 32 metres high, it's definitely big. So does it promote the town or industry? So it definitely promotes the name of the town, but not so much the industry of the town, unless you take into account other forms of tobacco which may be growing in certain areas, if you get what I mean. There's a small group of people at the moment that really want the name of this changed from the Big Cigar back to the Spire or Churchill Town symbol, because that's what they believe it was initially intended to be. But if you look a little bit deeper into what they're trying to do, they're an anti-smoking group, and they're just trying to get rid of this as being a cigar, which is a bit of a stigma on the town, which that's fair enough, but own up to what you're trying to do rather than trying to push it back saying, oh, it was never intended to be called the Big Cigar. Otherwise, just leave it alone. The only way I believe that they can fix this issue is, first of all, get rid of these floodlights, get rid of all the filament bulbs inside, replace it with LEDs, get it going back to how it was initially intended. And then secondly, change the name of the town, change it back to Hazelwood, and then over time, you're not going to have this stigma of the Big Cigar. You can change it to the town symbol or the Spire, because then the Big Cigar wouldn't be associated with the name Churchill, which is also associated with a person that smokes a lot of cigars. That's one way to sort of get rid of it. And I believe that's probably the best thing to do with all the anti-smoking going on. There's lots of things being shut down, like smoking in sports, sponsorship, that sort of thing. So if you want to have a good go at this, actually change the name of the town back to what it initially planned before Winston Churchill died, and some housing commissioner back in the 60s just thought it would be a good idea to change the name of the town. So there we have the Big Cigar, and on to the next one.